Hi, I'm Andrew. I'm 36 years old and I am diagnosed with both autism and ADHD.
So my name is Edward. I'm 32 years old as well. And I have as well ADHD, which I was diagnosed at a very young age.
After after actually coming across some content on social media, um, I decided that I would look in further into testing. So I decided to do the WHO test. And once I saw that I managed to tick, all the boxes, I basically, with my next sit down with my psychiatrist, I shared the results with him. I told him, "What do you think?" And um, uh, after a bit of back and forth, and him trying to put his foot down on his anxiety and depression diagnosis, once I went through my family history, he decided, okay, go and get an ADHD test. Started with an ADHD test. Um, uh, that was enough to be able to get to start medication. Then I was speaking to some friends and I showed them the test, and they had suggested that I go private, also because uh, here in Malta, unfortunately, adults are unable to get tested for autism through the government. So I went privately to a clinical psychologist who ultimately, produced for me a 31-page report with a complete diagnosis, with every deficit that I have, uh, at least leaving me with understanding of what I've been going through for these past 37 years.
So basically, when I was still in primary school, I used to go to a church school, and they were quite strict back then. And I was a little bit hyperactive. I couldn't stay sitting on a bench without moving or fidgeting or disrupting the class. And they always called me names because I wasn't a good student back then. However, there was a parent of a child, same age as mine, and she contacted my mother and she told her, listen, why don't you consider in going for a test for ADHD? And eventually I got diagnosed with ADHD and ADD back then. So it started all from there. When I was diagnosed as well, I don't really remember much about it. But however, I only remember some stuff. And I was giving like some IQ tests. And I remember the psychiatrist, I think, back then, telling my mother, like, simple, your son cannot manage simple tasks. His brain, like, doesn't switch on. But as soon as I give him something complex, he starts to reason it out. Um, and eventually that's true. Because in school, when something wasn't to my interest, my brain would just shut down. But when something was complex and needed a lot of reasoning to figure it out, I used to excel in that subject. I like to keep my identity hidden because it was only like a year ago that I stumbled across an online content as well. And I was going into like mixed emotions really. I moved out from my parents' house, starting living on my own, so you need to do the chores, you've got more responsibilities, and I was feeling a little bit like off balance, and my plate was a little bit more full. And I came across this content, um, a really good content on TikTok, and basically they were showing like signs of when you have ADHD and how you feel about about it. And there I said, listen, this is me. I was seeing myself in that picture. So I started searching online to find more information, and I was exploring a new horizon in reality. The thing is, back when I was younger, there wasn't much information as there is today. However, the internet have evolved nowadays. So you you are more open to have information at the palm of your hands. But as I said, I suppressed all of this for like 20 years, and like now I'm going into it. I reached out to ADHD Malta, and I'm exploring this horizon. And now I can say that, listen, because even in Malta there is quite a taboo in it. You have ADHD, you're like labeled, and you're like this person with a disability that you cannot achieve anything in your life. When in reality it's not. If we had to search on famous people or the most successful people in life, nearly 60% of them, they all have ADHD. They all found their own method of excelling in life, and that's how I see myself nowadays. That I have ADHD, but there is nothing wrong with me, or there is nothing missing from my brain, because that's what I used to be called. That there is something wrong with you. You cannot excel in life. You cannot get good grades. You will be a nobody. Nowadays, I see it as a condition, like when you have glasses, spectacles. There's nothing wrong with that individual that is wearing glasses only because his eyes have been formed differently. So he needs to wear glasses to have a clearer vision. He needs to aid his eyes with glasses. ADHD, I see it something similar. There is nothing wrong with you or missing. You only need to find some sort of help, like medication or assistance, someone assisting you to go on further and have a clearer vision.
Oh, unfortunately, I ran into quite a few misconceptions as I was researching. I had to be quite careful as to what I was reading because, um, uh, luckily, as soon as I discovered I had ADHD, I was roped into the ADHD Malta community. And it was through that community that I was able to understand which information is correct, which information is not. I was obviously, once I had discovered I had ADHD and autism, all I wanted to do was research, read books, this, that, and the other. For example, I figured out I would never be able to sit down and actually read a book. So I said, okay, it's ADHD. Let's just listen to ebooks. And even then, I had to be careful what ebooks to read, which authors to follow, because of the fact that there is information there which is inaccurate and can lead you in the wrong path. Well, up to a certain point, I would say to me, ADHD was always that kid bouncing off the walls. Once I learned through the content that I was seeing that um, uh, it's not just a matter of bouncing off the walls, but you could be bouncing off the walls inside your head. I pictured myself front and center poster child, you know, ADHD from a young age. It's just that the hyperactivity for me was more of a brain thing rather than a physical thing.
So we need now to break the barrier because there is still a stigma, unfortunately, nowadays. I've got friends of mine that they have children, and their main concern is that their child is hyper and they could have ADHD, which is a little bit a heartbreak for me because I can understand the child and I can understand how the child is feeling, but their parent or maybe one of their parent cannot understand because that parent doesn't have ADHD. And this is important as well. If you're a non-ADHD, you cannot understand the person who has ADHD. That's for sure. But now we need to put our knowledge and our information more to the public and get a better understanding. Like, there is nothing wrong with a person having ADHD. We need to shift our methodologies now. The school system needs to change. I think the school system has excelled in a certain way and failed in other aspects. We need to change the work environments as well. We cannot have a one work environment fits for all. For instance, I suffer with a lot of noise. If there is a lot collateral noise going around, I need to put in my earplugs, noise cancellation headphones or whatever, so I can block out the sound and I could concentrate. So we need to change a little bit of the systems and stop the stigma for sure. We cannot have a generation exceeding to their potential in life without changing the systems. You cannot just tell a child, sit over there for 1 or 1.5 hours, and you see the child that is fidgeting or it's jumping. You cannot tell them, listen, stay there, because his brain wouldn't tolerate it, his body wouldn't let him. So we need to find a new structure and a new system, and the teachers needs to get all the knowledge regarding this condition, and not only about ADHD, about all of the other conditions. They need to be up to speed, and these need to be part of their training for them so they can teach.
I believe that back in my time when I was at school, knowledge of ADHD was not that known. So obviously, misconceptions there were many. As I said, I was not the kind of child to bounce off the walls. I was not your naughty kid at school. I was your bullied kid at school. I was your kid always seeking attention or always seeking to be included. Um, uh, I was your he has potential, but he doesn't use it child, which in this day and age gets someone diagnosed. But back in my time, unfortunately, it does not. And it turned out to be quite a struggle trying to get through all that without even knowing what is going on. It was like trying to navigate a forest without a map. At the end of the day, I would always question why I'm not fitting in. I would question why, people would bully me. I would be very frustrated at the fact that I was always told that I had the potential, no matter how much hard I tried. I used to feel like I used to give it my 120% and never been appreciated for that. Um, uh, so so yeah, it was not exactly the easiest of times, which then led me to once I hit once I finished, once I hit the age where you finish legal school, so to speak, where you have to, go to school. It's obligatory to go to school. I just got my O levels, and I was happy to not continue studying.
Do not judge, stay humble. If you have a child or a relative that are showing the signs, find a system that works for them, and research and learn as much as you can about the condition, because there is always something new coming out which is informative, and it could help you and others.
What I say is understand. There needs to be more understanding. There needs to be understanding as to why people with ADHD go through what they go through. Um, uh, it hit me that something was not right after my sixth failed relationship. So, coming to think about it now, even more, I say, if you have, if you know someone who may be showing signs of ADHD or any form of neurodiversity for that matter, encourage them to speak to a doctor, to get tested if needs be, because it actually can improve their life. It improved mine. I've gotten a better understanding on things, and I feel that at least now I can, head on. In life, it's like finally being able to go out of the house and having the right pair of glasses on and actually finally seeing.